watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is CramerSez Live. We are live everywhere. Rumble, YouTube, X, everywhere. And we're talking tonight to Lumberjackd. Lumberjackd is one of the TikTok influencers on the conservative side. He's agreed to join me tonight. And we got great material to talk about tonight. And it's going to be fun because Biden did a presser and it blew the fuck up. Welcome to the show, man. What do you got to say?
Oh, well, I'm glad to be here tonight, man. I thank you for allowing me on to talk about the state of decay that we're in our country and some other fun stuff.
Well, our theme tonight is Biden's legacy is dementia, corruption, and war. I don't think we're missing anything there. Do you?
Poopy pants.
That is it. You know, it cracks me up that a few weeks ago, remember, they started talking about Trump stinks. Did you see that? That on
yes.
Twitter, they were pushing that Trump smells. And the only person that we have any reports of stinking was Joe Biden when he was standing in front of, at the time, Prince Charles's wife. And she said that he let out a fart and it was long and loud and hard to miss. So I can only imagine what it stank like. An 80-year-old fart, it's been stewing in there for a while.
Most sure.
Okay,
for
so
sure.
You've had a lot of success on TikTok. You've had the same battles that I've had in staying up on that platform. Why do you think that China has it out for us that are telling the truth?
Well, they have vested interest in the disinformation campaign that allows them to perpetuate their narrative and their storyline that helps benefit their country over ours.
And see, my theory is this. I think that we've got a ton of owned politicians who China has had their teeth into, their claws into for a number of years. And all of that information is now starting to come to the surface. And China can't allow that to happen because of how it reflects on them. But more importantly, our politicians can't. And they've got a service that 150 million Americans are on. Nearly half the country is on that platform at some point during the day, and they've got to be able to have some kind of impact on our youth and the messaging. I haven't been on in a long time. I've got an account up there now, but I haven't been on in a long time for one reason, and it's that the message can't cut through. If I'm silenced, if I'm censored, then it doesn't matter. It's like I'm a ghost or I'm dead anyway. Do you feel the same way about the platform?
Yeah, to be completely honest, it was pretty nice at the beginning, and that was about 4.5 years ago. And now I feel like the hands are tightening around my neck, and no matter what you say, you could use the TikTok friendly words, and they will still find a way to shut you down. So, I agree with you unequivocally.
I think that it's a conditioning thing, too. For us, they're not going to condition us not to speak our minds. We've grown up with freedom. We're going to say what we're going to say. But it's these kids that are using the app that are learning that, well, hey, if I don't do this or if I don't do that, I'll lose my following, I'll lose my account. So I'm going to toe the line and go along to get along. And that just makes people more subservient. For lack of a better term, slaves to the system. Because if you can't speak freely, you're a slave.
Agreed.
Right? Talk about the experience in the last year or so. TikTok in particular has really turned more into a commercial, which cracks me up. You know, they keep talking socialism. And what is TikTok utilizing to capture American eyes and ears? Capitalism. All we see are 100%. Ads on there. Have you seen the 100%. Platform change any other ways? What I noticed the other day was that there's a lack of conservative voices anymore. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I have seen many of what were big accounts acts, and when they go to try again, their push and reach on the app is next to nothing because it's almost like if we other big voices aren't sharing their voices, they don't get pushed out at all.
Exactly.
I've gone from having thousands and thousands of views and likes on videos to 500 views, 2 likes.
Right.
And that's with me sharing it myself. And it's a chokehold on us.
Right.
And if we want to get any push at all, we got to get up there and do stupid dances.
Well, and that's the thing, and I'm not going to get half naked and I can't dance. So I'm out of luck when it comes to doing that on TikTok. I think that, one of the things that cracked me up at the beginning is that a lot of the conservative voices jumped in and, for lack of a better term, grifted is what I looked at it as, is that they got on there, they got used to making a bunch of money. I had one friend that was making somewhere in the ballparks of $30,000 to $40,000 a month in T-shirt swag sales. They were clearing $30,000 to $40,000 a month, right? They thought the gravy train would never end. And then when they were told that they couldn't say certain things or present certain ideas, they kowtowed because they had to keep that money rolling in. That's one of the reasons that I didn't do the swag stuff. I sell T-shirts, but all the money that we sell goes to the J6 defendants, so I don't have to worry about it hitting my bottom line and making me react or change how I'm going to talk, right? Have you seen the same thing? Are you seeing conservative voices that have silenced or been silenced because of the money?
Yeah, I've seen plenty, but for me, some of those voices I don't even believe were ever conservative. I believe they were the 1776 Patriots that were ousted out of their side of the aisle and jumped over to our side because they saw a financial opportunity. And the ones that were true get their accounts permanently banned.
Right.
There's only a few that I've seen that have stayed true, like AJ's Rant Room and Ink, that have stayed true to their word, that had merchandise, have stopped pushing their merchandise, but have pushed the message even more. And even though they have seen the stranglehold hit them. Right.
That's what I noticed, and I started looking at options, and it was funny. There's an evil side of the conservative voices on that platform as well. For whatever reason, they like to go and attack and tear down, and they don't help the conservative side. They say they're conservatives, but all they do is they tear down conservatives, whether it's drama, accusations, trying to find some conspiracy theory. I'm sure that you've had your share of them. As soon as you take off, there's somebody trying to tear you down. How does that make you feel when you know that you're going in with an honest and clean heart and talking about the news of the day and the truth of the day, and these people are out there, not just on TikTok, across all social media platforms. Their main job, it seems, is to tear you down.
Well, it's to their benefit. It's so they seem to feel if they could get rid of a strong voice, that they can fill that void, but they don't understand that voice took many, many years to get where they're at. It wasn't just I'm here now, I fill this space because I got rid of somebody or I tore them down, and they saw those big numbers in the little tiny corner up there where it's 1,100 people, 1,500 people, 2,000 people listening to the drama. And then when the drama started to die down, those numbers dropped down to 15 or 30 people where they originally were, and they don't understand how to keep that place besides just tearing down other individuals.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It's the conservatives that I've seen, in fact, I've had several of them. There's a couple of there's a guy on TikTok. I don't even know if he's still there, but Bruges or something like that. He's got the wildest conspiracies. He's got me tied to a cabal. He's got me tied to I work for the CIA, or I'm some sort of I've got inside information. My cousin Jim Cramer, I'm connected to him somehow. Like, I don't even talk to him. I don't even know who he is. Right? I mean, we're cousins, but I don't have anything to do with him. I can't help it. But man, they tie you together to something. And I admitted it. If I was in a cabal and I was working with Jim Cramer and we were in collusion together, would I be mentioning this shit to be lamented? No, I'd keep it a secret. I wouldn't be bringing that shit out. And so these people, they want to feel relevant. And if they can't feel relevant with the information that they have and conveying the information, saying, hey, listen, we've got a problem here. Joe Biden, well, for example, today, the Supreme Court of Hawaii told the people of Hawaii, since there's no state constitutional right to carry a weapon, then you don't have the right to carry a weapon. That's what the Hawaiian Supreme Court just said. Now think about that. That's the kind of truth that I bring forward. I don't dance. I don't show my butt crack. I don't show my titties. You wouldn't want to see them anyway. If I take off my clothes, my body looks like a melted candle. So I try to keep as clothed as much as I can. I know how I look under here. What I will tell you, though, the only way that I'll get naked is the naked truth. And I think that's what they fear most.
Yes.
You don't want to see me breastfeeding on TikTok either.
Please don't.
It's
Please
horrendous.
don't.
It's horrendous. Well, let's get into the news of the day. One of the big items that was going on today, and we'll see if all of this works, is that Biden went and gave a press conference tonight on his confidential records issue, and not going to be any charges. And why aren't there going to be any charges? Did you hear the reason why?
No, I didn't. I didn't get that far into it.
He's too old and feeble. He didn't mean to. His dementia has gotten him to the point where he can't think for himself. So there's no reason to charge him because, well, he's going to be in a hospital soon anyway. That's basically what they're saying, right? He's incapable. And what they brought forward in the report is that they're not going to charge him. But what's bad for him politically is that he couldn't answer basic questions. For example, the year his son Bo died.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I actually remember that. That was crazy. That he didn't remember when he died, and then he started making stuff up out of the blue.
Exactly, and not only that, he couldn't remember in the questioning. He couldn't remember what term that he served as vice president, what years. He didn't know that from 08 to 16 he was vice president of the United States of America. This is the man that we have serving as the most powerful leader of the world. As a United States president, doesn't even know where he is. Folks, this is not hyperbole. This is not a joke. It's not funny. This is the leader of the free world. And he should be able to tie his own shoes, chew bubble gum, ride a bike, and walk up a pair of stairs. And he can't. Let's go to this event here. Let's see if we can get this going here. And we'll listen in on what Joe has to say.
Including his home, sat for a voluntary interview, and in other ways cooperated with the investigation, end of quote. I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions are not only misleading, they're just plain wrong. On page 215, if you had a chance, I know it's a thick document. On page 215, the report of the special counsel found the exact opposite. Here's what he wrote. There is, in fact, a shortage of evidence that I willfully...
Shortage of evidence. What does that mean? A shortage of evidence? You had shit in your garage for how many years? That's all the evidence I need. What do you mean there's a shortage of evidence to say that you did it intentionally? You moved how many houses?
Yeah.
I mean, this is beyond infuriating that they think that we're this fucking stupid.
Well, at the end of the day, I was holding TikTok live earlier today, where I said blatantly, the American people are, as a whole, stupid because you use the word cognitive dissonance. Those two words are beautiful because they are choosing to either be dumb to it, or ignoring it, and I think the masses are ignoring it because it's like, wait a minute. Everything you're saying one man is guilty of, this man is actually guilty of. And he verbally admits it.
Right. And there's no debating it, folks. If you're on the left and you've got a problem with what we're talking about, well, that's your cognitive dissonance getting kicking the balls. What we're telling you is the truth. This is the true issues. We don't have any reason to lie. Our nation is in trouble, and it's because of men like this and the people behind Joe Biden that will allow this to continue.
We retain classified materials related to Afghanistan.
Yes, it's frustrating, honestly, because it feels like I'm beating a dead horse, but every now and then that horse will kick. So I'm like, oh, there's life. Let me go beat on it some more to try to get the truth in it, and it's infuriating.
It's the way it is. Let's get back to Biden here.
Yes, sir.
Special counsel also wrote for another documents. The decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward. The evidence suggests that Mr. Biden did not willfully retain these documents. The evidence said I did not willfully retain these documents.
He didn't willfully retain them because he's got dementia. He forgot that he had them. That's what they're saying. That's the excuse. I mean, that is crazy to me. Biden continues.
In addition, I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events.
Yeah.
There's a reference that
There, listen to him.
It's crazy.
Well, he's saying there that, hey, there was something about the, my memory. I didn't remember Bo dying, and I didn't remember serving as vice president. Listen to how he answers this.
I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of...
That wasn't the question, Joe. The question wasn't, what do you do? The question was, when did your son die?
That part. It's crazy because it's like he pivots.
That's it.
And no matter how bad his dementia is, he's really still good at pivoting. Or he's just bumbling into a pivot and absconding from the point.
Well, and that's it right there, right? The Democrats will allow him. Oh, he knows his son's the death of his son, the date of the death of his son. He knows that. He's worn a rosary since. That is not the date. That is an invalid argument to say that I do this because of that, but I still can't tell you what the original answer was. That's a sidestep. It's not a pivot, man. That is a jump across the fucking street. And the Democrats will allow
and run
it
the
to
other
happen.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go on. Here's Biden.
Every Memorial Day we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away.
He's getting so angry.
Simple truth is I sat for a 5-hour interview over 2 days of events going back 40 years. At the same time I was managing an international crisis, their task was to make a decision about whether to move forward with charges in this case. That was their decision to make. That's the council's decision to make. That's his job. And they decided not to move forward. For any extraneous commentary, they don't know what they're talking about. It has no place in this report. The bottom line is the matter is now closed.
So what he's saying there, listen to that. The information in there, how I answered these questions, and the fact that I couldn't remember my son's death, or I couldn't remember the dates that I was the vice president, should have no bearing on this report. Well, you've got to find out if the person that you're questioning, right, is well enough to go to trial. That's what they were talking about here.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of if he's actually even well enough to go to trial. Is he well enough to run a country? Is he well enough to make executive orders? Is he well enough to command the United States military in any capacity? I'm reminded of him calling for the command center to go ahead and strike Yemen, for example. And as it were with the War Powers Act and what they instituted in 2001, that he still had to have some acknowledgement from the Congress to do what they did. If there was injury, there was no injury. So it's almost like he forgets when he needs to forget.
Right.
So people can just say, brush that under the rug, keep it moving.
Well, that's what a buddy of mine was saying today. He goes, how much of this is him just faking it? And I go, why would he fake it? Why would he look like the biggest doofus on the planet? Is it so that he can sidestep any accountability if Trump wins and they take him to trial? Well, Joe's got dementia. There's no way he can stand for trial. That's what they're trying to set it up for. If they're trying to do that for anything, that's what they would be doing it for. The problem is that Joe isn't faking it. You can't fake like that, like he does. Those are the effects of drugs. Those are the effects of disease. I was watching Trump speak to I was listening to him speak to Dan Bongino the other day. I'm driving back from the border, and it was amazing. Right, the difference in the clarity and the intelligence of what's coming out of Trump's mouth. And I got to be honest, I don't like to hear Trump speak. I think he's a terrible speaker. People love to go to his rallies and hear him speak. I don't. I think he's terrible at speaking.
Agreed.
But he's substantially better than Joe Biden. Substantially better.
Actually, so.
Let's continue here.
Continue what I've always focused on, my job of being President of the United States of America. So thank you, and I'll take some questions.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't make his recommendations. It's totally outdated.
He is so out of touch. He is so out of touch. What a fucking moron. Is this country back on its feet?
No, not at all. And the fact that he just openly got insulted and didn't even pick up on the fact that he was insulted is baffling to me.
Well, that's his cognitive ability. It's gone. It's dead. He has no idea. And by the way, what I've heard is, I haven't seen this yet. This is the first time I'm watching it. So what I've heard is that he just gets more and more vitriol. He gets more and more angry as this goes on. Let's continue.
Your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's my memory.
It's gotten worse, Mr. President.
My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I've become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? I guess I just...
He hasn't named anything yet. I would start naming those things off, wouldn't you? I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, I brought this to you, I brought this to you.
Right? Well, I don't believe there's a teleprompter in front of him at this present time. So he's
Relying?
I think this is why they also avoid open debates and town halls, because he wouldn't be able to snake his way through it. And the fact that he's like, my memory's fine. Now let me talk about something else.
Right. The pivot and shift. Let's go back to Biden.
Yeah. Forgot what was going on.
Mr. President.
Voters have concerns about your age. How are you going to assuage them? And do you fear that this report is only going to fuel further concerns about your age?
Only by some of you.
Mr. President,
on criminal liability today, do you take responsibility for at least being careless with classified material?
I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing.
Oh, my
it goes
God.
in and points out things that appeared in my garage, things that came out of my home, things that were moved not by me, but my staff.
So let me ask you this: do you think that Trump was moving those boxes, or do you think that it was his staff doing it for him?
Well, I mean, as they would have us to believe, Trump took these boxes, all of them, hundreds of boxes by himself, put them in his personal vehicle, and drove them from Washington, D.C. to Florida multiple times. And he did it all, and he fingered through all of them. That's what they would have us believe. No, of course not. Why is it okay for his staff to move boxes and him not get in trouble, but Trump's staff does the same thing and gets in trouble?
Well, we know why. It's a double standard. We've been seeing it for the last 7 years. We've been watching as lie after lie is told. And I go back time and time again to everything that we're suffering through right now is because of what Obama did in 2014, along with the RNC, the rhinos. They updated the Smith-Mudd Act and made it legal for the government to lie to you on a daily basis. From World War II to 2014, it was illegal. It was a crime for the government to propagandize the American people. Obama and the rhinos went in and changed that. They changed it, they modified it so the American government could go up there, so KJP could stand up in the podium and lie to you on a daily basis. That Joe Biden could tell you that the numbers that they're getting out of the, listen to this, we got numbers in December where we added 300,000 jobs in December, and then we're supposed to believe that we added another 360,000 jobs in January. Bullshit. That doesn't happen
100%.
ever. And what did they do last year? Lumberjackd, what did they do last year when they gave these great fucking numbers, and then they came out 6 months later and they adjusted them? What'd they say? They were all wrong. We doubled the numbers here. They were wrong here. They were wrong here. So do you trust anything coming out of the mouths of these people?
Not at all, especially when it comes to the jobs, because they only like to show one side, to show, hey, we did this, and they tout out that they created 8.2 million jobs, but failed to mention that they lost 7.4 million jobs.
Right. Well, and the other thing that gets me was they keep saying that how many jobs they've created. right? And all
Yes.
you're hearing from young kids is they can't get hired. So where are all these
Yes.
jobs being created? Who's taking these jobs?
Well, it's definitely not the illegals, because I have been in the industry that I'm in. My industry hires a lot of unsavory characters or illegals, and then I talk to companies that are actually bigger companies that work nationally and abroad and internationally, and they hire these individuals too. There's no jobs. They're turning people away. Other construction companies are turning people away that are asking for jobs.
Yep.
Or these people are coming in and using their families to get jobs with their families, and even their families are turning them away.
Yep, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. Again, Biden's legacy is dementia, corruption, and war. We go back to Biden.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
They expressed concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer
Because
to
I'm the
that
most
question?
qualified person in this country to be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
Do you believe that, Mr. President, why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
He's overwhelmed.
I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter.
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said in the
No,
report
I
that he
did not say that.
Okay.
He also said that laptop wasn't his son's. He said it was Russian disinformation. He agreed. I'm telling you, people, you got to take everything they say with a grain of salt, because they tell one lie out of their mouth as they're getting ready to tell you the next lie out of their ass.
What I caught there is one of the key points I took away from just that segment is that he said, when she said that, he was like, "That is not the opinion of the press."
Right.
Well,
Who
that's
cares?
all press there. Well, but at the same time, that's all press there, and all the press at that very moment.
Well, they're asking
in
the same
office
question. But my
asking the same
point,
question.
my point is, she's saying that the American people are saying this, and he wants to put it
Yes.
back on them as if it's just the press, and they don't like me, so it's you guys, right? That's what I'm getting from
Yeah.
that. And by the way, to your point, yeah, the press doesn't think that about me. The press is behind me. Who gives a shit if the press is behind you?
Yep.
Right? They're owned. Let's go back to Biden here.
But Mr. President,
Let me answer your question. The fact of the matter is, what I didn't want repeated, I didn't want him to know, and I didn't read it to him, was I had written a long memorandum to President Obama why we should not be in Afghanistan. And I was of multiple pages. And so what I was referring to, I said classified. I should have said should be private, because it was a contact between the president and the vice president as to what was going on. That's what he was referring to. It was not classified information in that document. That was not classified.
Jump in real quick here. In politics, there's an old saying that if you're explaining, you're losing. And right now,
Agreed.
Joe Biden is explaining, right? He's trying to tell people, and here's the thing. He has to explain with a lie,
Agreed. 100%.
right? He can't explain with the truth. He has to say a lie, because if he says the truth, then he can't be president anymore. So he's got to respond with a lie. The problem is that when you respond with a lie in these kind of situations, that's what always gets you hung up. I mean, that's what got Clinton, right?
Yep.
So that and a blue dress.
Well, definitely that was a nice fitted blue dress as well. But what's crazy to me is that he sits here and says that he wrote a private memorandum, but the issue is all documentation exchanged between president and other officials, or vice president and other officials, according to NARA, becomes information that they classify, and then they go through it to make sure there's no sensitive information, and then they declassify it. So he's lying.
Yep. There's a process, and he didn't follow it. Back to Biden.
He called on me. When you look back at this incident, is there anything you would do differently now? And do you think that a special prosecutor should have been appointed in the first place in both of these cases?
Yes.
First of all, what I would have done is oversee the transfer of the material that was in my office, in my offices. I should have done that. If I go back, I didn't have the responsibility to that. That was my staff was supposed to do that, and they referenced that in the report. And my staff did not do it in the way that, for example, I didn't.
Let me stop there. Isn't Biden the one that's been saying for the longest time that the buck stops with him?
Yep.
Now it's his staff. His staff did that. I'm sorry. At some point, you have to take personal. This is the problem with Democrats, is taking personal responsibility for what you've done. The only person that I've seen from the Democrats recently that is speaking truth, that I'm looking at, maybe that stroke fixed him, is John, what's his name from Pennsylvania? John Fetterman. Right?
Fetterman, yes.
Yeah, Fetterman's
yes.
the only one that's speaking the truth right now. There's a problem at the border. I'd like to get Fetterman's idea on what these documents were, if they were really, what we think they are, because Fetterman right now will tell you the truth.
Yeah. Or he might just all of a sudden conduct another stroke and forget everything.
Forget everything, just like Biden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Know how
this is brutal.
It is.
This is really brutal.
Back to Biden here.
Until I found out, staff gathered them up, put them together, and took them to the garage in my home. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. It was in my house.
Oh.
It wasn't out in Mar-a-Lago in a public place. Where,
it wasn't like
and
Trump's.
none of it was
My confidential documents weren't like Trump's behind locked doors. The CIA was there. Not the CIA. The Secret Service was there in that establishment, and the archivist or the archivist said, yes, where you have them is fine. Right? The only reason that Mar-a-Lago was raided and they went after those documents is because it was going to be released that Biden had documents. And it had them for years.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that at some point somebody would say, well, how can one have them for years and 17 years is how long Biden had those.
Yeah, a lot longer than Trump.
A lot longer than Trump. And Biden, and I want to say this very loudly for the idiots in the back of the room, Biden was never president. He couldn't have those documents. Trump could.
Nope. Yep.
That's the difference.
According to the acts that they put in place a long time ago, that the only person that can take confidential records or documentation home for work is the president.
Yep. That's it. That's it. And this when you say it, but there's no buts. That's what's interesting about the law. There's no buts. And if you apply it equally, then Trump didn't do it intentionally either. His staff took things that they shouldn't have taken, right? If that flies now, then Trump can come forward and say, well, I'm just an old man. I'm just a few years younger than he is. And I'm, from time to time, I forget, and I didn't mean to do it. Imagine that, robbing a bank, and at the end of it going, well, I didn't mean to do it. And I forgot I was doing it anyway. That's the defense. It does not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, do you believe that this situation, with this being a worldwide broadcast and the things he's saying can be used in Trump's defense coming up?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, they're helping Trump is what they're doing. Everybody looks at like, well, Biden got off. No, they're helping Trump's defense. Because once this case gets out of the courts that they're in, eventually Trump's going to appeal all of these things and win all of them. Just, it's amazing to me. They've got the E. Jean Carroll thing, right? He gets this huge judgment. See, he's a rapist. He's this, he's that. And we got him. We really got him this time. They said the same thing about Stormy Daniels. And what ended up happening with Stormy Daniels? What did she have to do? She had to write a big check. Why? She had to pay for Donald Trump's legal fees because she lost. After she won, and Michael Avenatti, who's now in jail, was bragging about the job that he had done. He didn't make any money, and Stormy had to pay all of Trump's legal fees.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be the case with the E. Jean Carroll, Miss I think rape is sexy. I think she's going to be feeling it because she's not going to get that $83 million, and then that $5 million she received before is about to be paying legal fees to pay him back.
Yep.
And this all, but the thing is, I think the biggest issue is the public opinion. I don't know if the public is even going to see this. They're going to say that the system's corrupt, even though the system is beating up on this man they're going to say it's corrupt and Trump should have been thrown under the bus.
Right.
Again, with the cognitive dissonance.
Well, and what gets me is that time and time again, we're told how evil Trump is, and we see what he's done, what his true track record was previous to coming into president, and he was praised by the exact same people. In fact, not only praised, but they went begging, hat in hand, asking him for money. And today they call him one of the most evil men on the face of the earth. It's astonishing to me. And then they sidestep what Biden has done. And you know, listen, I like I like equality, right? I like it down the middle. Treat everybody the same. And when you don't do that, people start to get pissed off. And here's who they get pissed off against: the people doing the evil shit. Mm-hmm. We root for the underdog, right?
Yeah. It's just, for me though, like one thing I have seen time and time again on TikTok as a platform, and this is a platform that they're trying to stranglehold people because of truth, and there's more truth coming out of TikTok than there is coming out of the news media. But one thing I've seen time and time again, they say that Trump is so racist, but they allow this man, this bumbling idiot, to say the things that he says, and then, but Trump does this. Trump does this. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've never known a racist to give someone that they would hate $8 million to run for president twice.
Yep. Here's the other thing that you have to look at, right? I'm not a fan of basketball. I'm not really a fan. I like football, but I don't follow it. I don't have time for it. I played it when I was a kid, but I'm one of those guys. If I can't play it, I'm not going to sit down for 3 hours and watch it. I just don't have time.
Exactly.
But I loved playing it. Here's the thing, though, and the reason I say that is that to your point, if Trump was a racist, he wouldn't have done the things that he did. If Trump was a racist, he wouldn't have given the money to the HBCUs and guaranteed them 10 years of funding. By the way, Biden pulled that back. So Biden took that back, and now they've got to come hat in hand back to the White House again until they're given 10 years of funding again. That's what cracks me up about this argument, that Trump was a huge benefactor to Jesse Jackson's campaign. When he started the Rainbow Coalition, Trump gave him the space to start that with. Racists don't do that.
No,
I know
not at all.
racist. They don't act that way, do they? Am I wrong?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not any of the ones that I've actually interacted with myself. And what I find to be very crazy is that they keep saying all of these evil things about this particular man. If you've not experienced it yourself, and only the TV is telling you what that experience should be like, then you're not living life. You're in virtual reality. Well,
and you're listening to a narrative that's being created for you. That's really what you're going to. Let's go back to Biden here. Oh, okay. Well, we lost the feed. There we go. We'll see if they'll catch us back up to where we were. This Fire Stick thing that they updated. Here we go.
Department of Justice.
Oh no, they jumped fast. So let's go through here. I'll see if I can scan through it. What do you think? Let me ask you this. Based on, so that was basically it, I think.
And do you think that a special prosecutor should have been appointed in the first place in both of these cases?
First of all, what I would have done is overseen the transfer of the material that was in my office, in my offices. I should have done that. If I go back, I didn't have the responsibility to that. That was my staff was supposed to do that, and they referenced that in the report. And my staff did not do it in the way that, for example, I didn't know how half the boxes got in my garage.
I bet you didn't, Joe.
Staff gathered them up, put them together, and took them to the garage in my home. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. It was in my house. It wasn't out in Mar-a-Lago in a public place and none of it was high classified. Didn't have any of that red stuff on it. You know what I mean?
The red stuff.
None of that. And so I wish I had paid more attention to how the documents were being moved and where. I thought they were being moved to the archives. I thought all of it was being moved. That's what I thought.
Doesn't matter. Still legal to have them.
Whether a special counsel should have been appointed in this case and in the case of your rival president, former president.
I think a special counsel should have been appointed. and the reason I think a special counsel should have been appointed is because I did not want to be in a position that they looked at Trump and weren't going to look at me, just like they looked at the vice president. And the fact is they made a firm conclusion. I did not break the law, period. Thank you all very, very much.
I give you the leader of the free world, folks. The leader of the free world. A man who they're asking, hey, apparently you don't know when you served and you don't know when your son died. And he got so upset and so outraged over a simple question. I mean, that's what I don't get, Frankie. I mean, that's what I don't understand at all, is how the media, now they've got to do something now, right? They've seen it. They've heard it. They've got to take action. What action will they take? What do you think will happen?
Depending on the actual outlet that it's coming from, I think they will either try to spin it or backpedal and say, well, yeah, you know, we knew this was coming. I'm reminded of what Dan Bongino says. It's one of my favorite quotes by him is that they go to www.lie.com. So they lie. And then when enough time has passed, they tell the truth. Yeah. And that's their two options. They're either going to lie again or tell the truth. And if they tell the truth this time around, I think Biden is truly finished.
Yeah, I think they're setting him up for the 25th. A buddy of mine, Charles Bookwalter, he's running for Congress in Indiana's 4th District. We did a live previous to jumping on the live here with you. And he texted me after he watched it, and he goes, they're going to set him up for the 25th. The Democrats are going to get rid of him. They've got to get somebody else in there, and they've got to get a replacement. They've got to make it look like it's not the DNC's, it's not the Democrats' fault. Joe has just aged out, and this dementia got ahead of him. We didn't see it coming, and we've got to do something fast. And they'll put in Kamala, or they won't put in Kamala. They're not going to put her in. That's crazy. But they're going to put in Michelle Obama. They're going to put in Gavin Newsom. That's why Gavin Newsom was out gallivanting around the planet talking to Xi Jinping just a few months ago. This was put in motion a long time ago, and they're going to pressure Joe out. And my assumption is, and I'd like to hear what you think about it, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to get Joe through the convention, through the DNC convention.
Yes.
And then after they do that, Joe's going to step down, and the caucus is going to name the new head of the Democrat Party.
I've actually had several analysts come on my live and say the same exact thing. Yeah. And through a little bit of research of my own, they said that Joe Biden will be ousted by way of pressure. Yep. And they're just going to prop up their next puppet. But this next puppet will actually not be a puppet at all. You won't see Kamala Harris ever grace the stage. And I don't think it's going to be Michelle Obama for many reasons. But I really feel like they're pushing for the governor to take that position. Otherwise, he wouldn't be making so many trips to Washington, D.C. and, like you said, gallivanting around, talking to other world leaders like they have been.
Debating Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, that was insane because neither of them had a chance. One's not running at all, and the other one doesn't have a chance. And they thought that was going to be cute. What it showed me is how they thought that they could set up a Nixon-Kennedy debate among the two front runners, right? And what that debate showed is that Ron wasn't ready for prime time. Yeah. That's what it showed. Yeah. And so now they're all excited, and they know that the person they got to go up against is Trump, and the Democrats will rally around Gavin Newsom, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think the only thing that changes that is his record in California. Your thoughts?
His record in California will be either his Achilles heel or his springboard, in my opinion. And after talking to many Californians, especially the Democrat side of California, even though they still espouse to the ideologies that they do, they don't really care for Gavin Newsom. They realize that he's hurting their areas, and not for nothing, majority of California is red. I mean, it's decided by 3 major cities.
Yep.
So hopefully those 3 major cities, if they do pull the convention trick over everybody's eyes and prop up their new puppet, that California says enough is enough. He hurt us enough. Maybe they can, turn purple And I believe that would be the biggest dagger to his propping up would be California turning purple.
And I think it's possible, mainly because of what we've seen in the last 2 years in particular, is that I've heard more Democrats say, listen, this is no longer my party. That the party has been ripped away from me. It's moved farther left. I haven't gone any more right, but they've abandoned me in my position here, on the left, which I think is amazing. One of the things that we started to talk about on your live, I was on a live on TikTok here recently, and got booted because we talked about Civil War. I brought up Civil War. We can talk about that here, so let's get into it. What do you think the likelihood is that we'll see some type of, if not civil war or revolution, that we're going to see some type of kinetic action in our streets in the next, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months leading up to the election?
I think if we don't see a full-scale, all-out, countrywide civil war, I think what we're going to experience is hot pockets. And New York and Illinois will be your two hot pocket areas, being Chicago and New York City in the boroughs. These people are struggling, and I listen to their voices on a regular basis, where you have these immigrants coming in making $3,000 to $5,000 a month,
right?
Getting all of the amenities that are afforded to American citizens for free cell phones, free housing, shutting down schools so they can get out of the cold, but the homeless on the street doesn't get that same treatment. And I'm reminded of the one Fox interview where they were interviewing darkly melanated individuals in the streets of Chicago, and they said that if their government, their state government, their mayor and their governor doesn't do something soon, then they're going to handle it the only way they know how, and we know how they like to handle things.
Yep. I think it's going to get a lot uglier here real soon. And I've said many times, and the black community is starting to wake up to this, that the only thing worse than being the poorest community is being the second poorest community.
Yes.
My son is 80% deaf. He got all kinds of programs thrown at him by the school system. My oldest son, average kid, got nothing. And was kind of like forgotten about because he wasn't a problem student, right? He didn't cause fights. He wasn't stupid, right? He was an average, middle-of-the-line kid, and they get left behind. The kid who's causing trouble and the kid who needs help, they get all of the attention. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that these immigrants are getting all the help that the black community has been begging for the Democrats to help them with for the last 40 years, and realizing the Democrats just used them as a voting bloc and don't care.
Yes.
And so they're now seeing this handout. What's your concern about the illegals coming in and the actions that a lot of these military-aged men would be able to take? Does that concern you, them in the streets doing whatever they want to do?
Well, we have the perfect example of this is in New York when the cop was jumped last week and beaten down, and then all the people involved were arrested and let go with no bail. And we know how New York has become a lawless society, essentially, with all of these freedoms and liberties for being able to commit crime. It's going to get worse because these people are going to become emboldened, and it's going to fall on the people that are in these areas to fight back. But the problem I see there is the repercussions for those United States citizens is not going to be the same repercussions for these illegals. These people are actually going to get thrown in jail and stay in jail, and have to pay, and it's not good.
Do you think that the actions that Bragg took in New York is a dog whistle to the illegals in the rest of the country? Do whatever you want, you won't be charged.
100%, yes.
Yeah, I agree too. I think we're in trouble now. I don't know if you know, he has charged them. They are going to be indicted, but they've already been let loose. They've got to track them down now, right? As soon as they find out that they're going to go to jail or they're going to be in trouble with the law, what do? They'll just cross
another state.
They'll go to another state and say, "Come get me." So this is the situation that we're in, I fear that it's only going to get worse before it gets any better. What have you been telling your followers and those that listen and watch you? What have you been telling them what to do and how to get involved?
Well, first and foremost, like I stated at the beginning, is you need to learn your rights as a person of the United States of America. You need to know where and what the government can and can't do. If you don't know where and what they can do and how to stop it if they overstep, you're going to be a pointless individual. Yeah. So education is important, and I don't mean the systematic instruction that our Department of Education gives. I mean actually going out and educating yourself, where they tell you your own research may lead to conspiracy theories. Well, I'm not telling you to go read anything that's not been written from hundreds of years. Go read your Constitution, read the articles, read your state constitution, educate yourself. So when the fight does come, you can say, "Oh, I'm going to hit you in your pocket now."
If you don't have one of these sitting around where you've got it within arm's reach, if you don't have one of these documents, you're not paying. See, all of us guys that are talking about this shit know our shit because we read the core documents. Another one you might want to get into, there's a book by, I keep saying Woods, that's not his name. I'll get it here later. There's a book available on Audible. You can get it on Amazon as well. A couple of the podcast places called the Politically Incorrect Guide to American History. If you haven't heard that, go listen to it. It'll change your perspective on how you look at everything that happens. When you find out right now what we're going through is we're making history. So tonight, Joe Biden's speech, that made history. But how will it be viewed in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 180 years? How will that speech tonight be viewed? And that's kind of what this book does, is that it explains what happened in the time, what the thinking was, what the arguments were, and what actually happened based on that decision. And it's amazing. The government is never correct. They're always wrong. 400 years we've had this country in its place, 200 and some as America, and the government has never gotten it right, not one time. Never.
Agreed.
And so to expect that they're going to be the solution now, well, it's hoping for something that the government is incapable of producing, which are solid results. No program has ever been canceled, right? It gets defunded maybe, and finally somebody says we're not doing that anymore. But all government programs grow until they finally fall in on themselves. Either they're corrupt and they've got to go to a different department. Time and time again, we've seen this. And I don't think that it's going to change anytime soon with the guys that we have in office. I've been saying this. This is my advice to my followers. Anybody but the incumbent. Yes. Both sides of the aisle. Great. I think we would all like that a little bit more. Both sides of the aisle, anybody but the incumbent. If you're on the left and you want things changed and it's not happening, they're not gonna change it, folks. They're not listening to what you have to say. If you want what you want to have done, then you got to hire new people in on the left, because the old people ain't doing it. And for those of us on the right that are expecting these politicians who didn't stand for COVID restrictions, they didn't stand for the J6 defendants, they didn't stand by Trump's side, they got to go. Because they won't stand for you. They'll say they'll fight for you, but they won't.
Agreed. 100%. I don't disagree at all. It's almost as if we have given up. And it's because we forgot what we came from and where we came from. What we came from is around the world. This nation is built on legal immigration. And where we came from, or our foundation, or what we stand on, rather, would be the Constitution of the United States, more respectively, the Bill of Rights.
Yep, and that's the great equalizer, and that's what they hate. Because you and I being able to have this conversation, we haven't talked about race one time. If you were on another panel or something, they'd be wanting to bring up race all the time. Race isn't the issue here. Our rights being trampled upon. And you don't have to be white or black or Hispanic or Asian to understand that to be a free man, you have to have the ability to speak. You have to be able to defend yourself. You have to be able to own private property. That's what it takes to be free, and that's what the Constitution, that's what this right here spells out. And it's the same for you as it is for me, and it's the same for me as it is for you. The problem is that the people in D.C. and the people in our state capitals and our city halls and so on, they think that they can correct what happened 300, 400, 500 years ago, and they want to put pressure on you and me and everybody else. I mean, think about the reparations bullshit that they're talking about. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that?
They
it's
have
everybody.
No answer. They have no answer. And then when you tell them it's going to be you, they're like, wait, what? Oh, I'm fine with that because I'm getting my money. No, you're getting your money while paying your money back. Because if you think they're going to give you free money, you're absolutely delusional. I can sell you beachfront property in the Walmart parking lot.
Well, what I love about America is different. If you've not traveled the world, you don't know, is that America is not racist. If you've ever been to another nation, you'll find out just how unracist America is.
Agreed.
Go to the Scandinavian countries. Go there with a melanin a little bit deeper than mine. You won't get in. They don't allow you in. Ever. And the ones they do allow in, they allow in because they're a PhD or something else, but they're not allowed to join. Folks, this mentality that Bernie Sanders has that has sold you is not how Europe is. That's not how it's structured. If you go to Italy, if you go to Serbia, if you go to any of these, especially these old Eastern Bloc nations, Germany and so on, servicemen after servicemen have told me no matter where they've traveled, right, as Americans, they realize how unracist we are as a nation. And how opening we are as a nation. And I put it this way here. Time and time again, we'll see a wreck on the highway. Car explodes, there's flames, and people run to that car, and they don't look at the back of it to see what kind of bumper sticker you have on or who you're aligned with. And they don't look in and go, oh, it's a white guy, or oh, it's a black guy, I'm not helping. They risk their lives. That's America.
Yeah. It's just... So I remember, because I used to be a paramedic, and I remember actually taking someone to the hospital, but it was non-emergent. The patient was stabilized. We pulled up on a car that had run right up under an overpass and caught on flames. Didn't stop to think about it. We parked the ambulance. My partner went over, checked, came back, says, hey, it's going to take us both helping. There's a person trapped in the back seat. We got the person out of the car. I didn't care what they looked like, where they came from, what language they spoke. I just wanted to make sure they were okay. And I think we as a whole in the United States of America has forgotten how to be Americans and human first, apart from our biases and isms.
Yep. And it's sad because we're stronger together than we are apart. And the people, I say it time and time again, the only people that are benefiting from racism or any of the isms are those who are paying their mortgage based on the hate they're spewing.
Yes.
Right? That's the only people.
It's a class system. And people don't understand that they don't care. Like I tell people all the time, when they bring up the topic of race, it's like, stop it.
Right.
Do you think Jeff Bezos and an Italian and Oprah Winfrey, a black woman, as they call it in America, are discussing, oh, well, why do your people hate my people? Why did your people hate my people? No, they're discussing their next billion.
That's it. And as soon as you can move past it, I think it was, I always forget his name. Oh, my God, I love his voice. The actor.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. And he said, they said, well, how do we get past this? I think it was one of the old news guys says, how do we get past racism? He goes, stop talking about it. Just stop talking about it.
Yes.
Right? And treat everybody the way you want to be treated. That's the way I look at it. It's been a pleasure having you on tonight. We'll have to do this again soon. It's been a couple of years since we met, and I love your content. Tell everybody where you are and how to get a hold of you if they want to see more of what you're doing and join you and Inked and AJ.
Yeah, well, yes, we're all on TikTok. I am American Lumberjackd with a D at the end. Also, same handle on Twitter. Same handle on Instagram, same handle on YouTube. I'm everywhere but Rumble right now because I'm having some disputes with Rumble. But outside of that, I'm everywhere. I feel like if you want your voice to be heard, you have to be in every arena. Otherwise, you're not going to make it at all.
Yep, I agree. I'm right there with you. I love your message, man. Keep it up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kramer. Appreciate you, brother.
You as well. This has been the CramerSez podcast, CramerSez Live. Glad you joined us. We're out of here, and I think I'll have this. I think I've got this right. Let's see if I hit this button and it works.
You're watching CramerSez.